All right, episode 9, the Ghostface Scream episode. We're going to talk about Scream 6, Ghostface Takes Manhattan, and I'm going to re-rank the franchise and rank the killers and rank the opening scenes, the opening kills, whatever, the openings of this franchise. They're known for having great opens. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to be spoiler free at first, and I will let you know when I get into spoilers. So, yeah, I rewatched the franchise. Oh, and a quiz. I got this quiz book. There's a Scream quiz. We'll do that also. And yeah, so I rewatched the franchise in preparation for this movie. I got in a Scream mood. I'm not the biggest Scream fan, but I was like, fuck it, let's rewatch the movies because I'm sure Scream 6 is going to have all kinds of little clues, Easter eggs, nods to the other films. That's what new movies today like to do. Halloween 2018, they always like to point out things from before, nostalgia and all that stuff. So I was like, I need to refamiliarize myself, and I rewatched them, and I gotta say, my enjoyment for two of them went way down, and one of them actually went up a bit, and I think you'll be surprised to find out which one. So, Screams. Oh, first, let's just quickly go through some horror updates, horror news, things that have been announced since my last video, real quick. I'm not going to talk long about this because I just want to get to what we all want to hear. All right, so coming up, this is kind of funny. Winnie the Pooh. Yes, there's a Winnie the Pooh slasher that just came out about a month ago almost, and there's already been a sequel announced to that. I heard the first one's terrible. I have no interest to check it out. So yeah, Winnie the Pooh 2. That's going to be a thing. And Johannes Roberts, the guy who directed that one shark movie at 47 Meters Down, the sequel, Resident Evil 7, whatever it's called, Raccoon City. He's directing another shark movie, and it's called Red Triangle, and it's going to be a big budget shark film. Excuse me, I had like a hiccup there. It's going to be a big budget shark film. And we got another Silent Hill called Return to Silent Hill. That's going to start filming soon. I've only seen the first two like once, maybe the first one I saw twice. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I've never played the video games, so I don't have much excitement about that, but look out for that. That's coming. That's been confirmed. And Hellboy. There's another Hellboy, and yet again, they're recasting Hellboy. They've already hired someone else. I didn't write his name down, but it's not going to be the guy who did him last time. David Harbour, I want to say was his name. They hired someone else, and it's got a title, Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Weren't we supposed to get like a Crooked Man movie in the Conjuring universe? Whatever happened to that? And so Blumhouse has announced that it no longer just wants to make movies. They want to make video games. Blumhouse. So yeah, I'd be curious to see if they make like a Halloween, because they own Halloween, right? Them, Universal, they always work together. Universal owns Michael Myers, right? I'm not sure who exactly has all the rights. Maybe it's a bunch of different companies together. I don't know. But if they can do it, I'd like to see Blumhouse make like a Halloween video game. That'd be interesting. So, It. Stephen King's It. That's becoming a TV series. Everything becomes a TV series nowadays. It's becoming an HBO TV series, and it's called Welcome to Derry, and it's reportedly going to be a prequel to the movies, the last two, or the original, or the book. New characters, like, I don't know. But it's supposed to be a prequel. That's all I know. So, Haunt, the slasher from 2019, the one that I was okay with, but it doesn't really hold up on rewatch. I take more issue with it the more and more I watch it. Wasn't too high on it. That's getting a sequel. Same writers, I believe, who did like the Quiet Place movies. It's in talks. It's not like 100% confirmed at this point, I don't think. This is more recent. Like I think this was just announced yesterday. So yeah, they're in talks to do a Haunt sequel. I'm not sure. Didn't they all die? Aren't the killers dead in that? Pretty sure they are. So I guess it would just be new killers, new characters altogether. I don't know. And lastly, Amazon wants to revive the Poltergeist series. We haven't had a Poltergeist movie since 2015 when the remake came out. And I'm a fan of the franchise. I don't think there's a bad entry. I enjoy all of them. I think the first one, though, is damn near flawless. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I would like to see what Amazon could do with this series. Bring it back. So that is the end of that, I guess. Now let's jump into the main event. Scream 6. Let me just pull it up here on Letterbox. So, Scream 6 2023, 1 year after the last movie. Wow, that was quick. So, directed by Matt Bettinelli, Open, and Tyler Gillette, the people behind like Southbound, the last Scream movie, and some of the VHS movies. So, Scream 6, plot synopsis. Very short. Following the latest Ghostface killings, the four survivors leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. So, did I like this movie? Well, let me just say that I went into this movie with like mild expectations. My expectations for this movie were low, but then when this movie premiered, it had all these reviews coming out. Everyone was like, it's so vicious, it's so dark, it's so gory. So then, of course, my hype went up ever so slightly. I was like, all right, maybe this could be better than the last one, because I was not a fan of the last movie. Very disappointed. And this one, I think it was better than Scream 5, but it's still disappointing me. And everyone who's telling you, like, believe the hype, it's gory, it's very dark. No, I don't know what your definition of gore is, but this movie's not gory. It's got a lot of stabs, but no guts in more ways than one. It has no guts, literally, but it also has, like, no guts, meaning it doesn't take enough risks. Not for me. This movie, it's another Scream movie. It's got the formula. They do everything almost the same. They do something a little different in the opening, but it still just plays out like a Scream movie. And I'm not the biggest, I'm not a Scream fanatic. I got the Scream poster. They were handing these out at the theater. So you got this cool little poster that has Ghostface in the crowd. There's like 5 or 6 of them that you can spot. So yeah, I don't know. Let me just read what I wrote down, because it'd probably be better if I just do this. All right, so I wrote, this is it's a step up from the last one, which I wrote is tame, predictable, and purposely, but still annoyingly, just derivative. Part 5. It was just copying the first one, and I didn't like it. I get that's what they were going for. The characters, the killers in that movie were purposely copying Stab 1, which is, Scream 1. But I didn't like that angle. I didn't like seeing the same thing. I wanted something different. And with this movie, again, I wanted something different, because I'm not the biggest fan of this franchise. I don't like the formula that much, because the formula for this franchise is no gore, low body count, no nudity, not a lot of atmosphere, not the kind of atmosphere that I like. It's just, and, jump scares. But this one, it's just more the same, but they do something different in the beginning. I'll give them that. That's probably the best part of this movie. That, and some of the sequences that they spoil in the trailer, which I avoided, but I couldn't help but see images on Twitter every now and then, so I still kind of got spoiled on some of the things that were going to happen. Unfortunately, it's hard to avoid spoilers these days. Even if you don't watch the trailer, someone's going to tell you what happened in the trailer, so you might as well watch it anyways. Someone's going to spoil it for you. I only watched the teaser trailer, but yeah, the sequences in the trailer, like the store scene with the shotgun, that's a highlight of the film. That in the opening, but another Scream movie where the opening is probably the best part. So yeah, this seems almost out of cool ideas at this point. This whole franchise, it just seems like they're running out of ideas, and they're just recooking the same shit again and again. And this is almost 100% the same thing. Part 6 this time mirrors part 2 in a lot of ways. They're at college, just like Sydney in part 2. She was in college. They point that out in this movie. It's very self-aware meta, just like the other ones, but they kind of lessen that a bit in this one. This one isn't as self-aware in meta as the other ones. It's not as humorous and lighthearted as part 5 was. and especially Scream 3. Scream 3 was definitely like the goofiest one of them all. This one's definitely darker, which I appreciate. Um, but yeah, I prefer this one over part two. This one is like part two in a lot of ways, but better in my opinion. I liked the curveball they threw us in the open, but after that, it's like I said, once again, it's paint by numbers, Scream formula. This movie brings back the core four. That's what they call themselves in the movie, the core four, the Meeks twins and Sam and Tara, the sisters. And it fleshes them out a bit more this time, makes them more interesting, more likable. Sam becomes like kind of like the mother figure for Tara. She's the older sister, very protective. Even Chad, I think that's his name, the one twin, he kind of becomes the protector also. And I liked their chemistry a lot more in this movie. The characters are definitely better in this one than they were in part five. In part five, they were just almost just paper thin, like suspects. They're just suspects, just there to be red herrings, and then some of them get killed, like, but not enough of them. And that's another thing here. Too many survivors in this movie. So this movie's just making a lot of the same mistakes as part five. Way too many fucking survivors. It's probably the biggest complaint I have with this franchise, and especially this movie and the last movie, is there's too many survivors. So I thought they cleverly work in Gail's character. It makes sense that she's in this movie because they've already established before in part five, and I think part four maybe. No, I think it was just part five. That they already set up that she was in New York and that she had a show, so it makes sense that she's there. And I don't mind that Sydney's not in the movie. I thought she didn't need to be. There's no point. Like, it's smart that she's just staying away. This isn't her fight. She can just stay with her family and not get herself killed. So I liked how they wrote her out, the explanation they give. They name drop her, they explain why she's not here, and I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with Gail being in the movie. It makes sense that she's here. She has a show in New York. They conveniently decided to go to college in New York where Gail is. All of them, same college. So, but the thing with Gail, okay, so I like how they wrote her in here, but on the other hand, I don't like her character that much in this movie. I think she's the most unlikable in this one because of what she does. She writes a book like she always does. She's greedy as fuck. She's just out to make a penny. So she wrote a book and she betrayed Sam and Tara's trust. And this has been spoiled. She said this in interviews, so I don't feel like this is much of a spoiler. It's just a little plot detail. She wrote a book about what happened in Scream 5. So she's again making a lot of money off of other people suffering in murder. And so I just don't like her. I really don't like her character at this point. She's just the most unlikable in this movie, to the point where I just really want to see her die. They make you. This movie made me ready. Like, all right, I'm ready to see her just finally bite the bullet. But I won't say whether or not she does, because this is spoiler free still. So yeah. Yeah, her explanation for why she wrote the book was just weak. Oh, someone had to write it. It's like, yeah, someone else could have wrote it. You didn't have to. You did not have to write that book. That's not an excuse. Somebody had to write it. I didn't like that. And so, Chad and Tara are the standout characters and performances in this movie. I really liked Chad this time around. In the last movie, he was just the jock. There wasn't much to him. He was like, all right, he's the jock, he's the red herring, and that's it. And this one, much better. I like him. The movie, the New York City setting is used not in the way that you would probably want. You're going to get the Jason Takes Manhattan treatment all over again. You're not going to see Ghostface at the Statue of Liberty or any popular location, really. You're not going to see him walking through Times Square like Jason did. This movie was filmed in Canada, Montreal. And so don't expect much there. But they do capture the feeling, though, of New York City. They're in a kind of tiny apartment. Not that tiny, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it's mostly in this apartment. They do go on a subway train. They do go to what looks like Central Park at one point in a brief scene. So it does kind of have that New York City vibe. They do capture that decently here. And I appreciate the fact that this was set during October, around Halloween. to excuse like to you know make it make sense why there's so many people in these like Ghostface outfits. Um, but I would have liked there to be more of that kind of Halloween atmosphere throughout. To see a lot more people in costumes, more like Halloween decor, and I don't know. It's just it doesn't really feel like Halloween throughout the movie. It's just when they're on a train and everyone's just wearing costumes. You're like, oh yeah, that's right, it's Halloween. So yeah, it doesn't really make it feel like Halloween throughout or anything. So they go for a slightly darker tone than before, but while keeping some of the Scream meta self-aware humor alive and they're sprinkling it in throughout. The Meeks twin, the one who gave that big monologue in the last movie about the rules. She's doing that speech again, giving you the new rules for requels and sequels to requels and whatnot. I thought that speech was, it was fine. But what's annoying about the things that they say in this franchise is that most of them aren't even true. They're like, in this movie, this is going to happen and this is going to happen because these are the rules. And then none of them happen. And it's kind of annoying. And they're like, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. But then they do it, Like at one point, they're all going to this building, for a specific reason. They know Ghostface is following them. And then it's like, let's split up. It's like, wait, where are these other characters? Why is this person by themselves? They know Ghostface is chasing them. He could be arriving any second now, and now you're like by yourself, like so far away from the others that you can't even like see them or hear them if they were being attacked. Like, why are you splitting up? It's annoying. They always do it in these movies. When they point it out as being stupid, they go ahead and they do the things that they're saying are stupid. It's like, listen to your own advice. Like, don't split up. Anyways, the body count in this one is a bit higher, but doesn't mean that there's any great kills in this movie. There's not a standout kill for me. There's no Wes kill like in Scream 5. That was a standout in that movie. But this one, nothing comes to mind as being like, oh, that was awesome, or that was gross, or that was brutal. It's more the same. It's just stabbing. That's a lot of stabbing. This one has the most stabs, and just no matter how many times people get stabbed in this franchise, they just seem to keep getting back up. It's ridiculous. Everyone's fucking Superman in this franchise. And yeah, a few of the kills are off camera. There's cutaway kills and just kills that are done completely off screen. So those people who said, it's gory. No, it's not. I don't know what your definition of gore is, but blood's not gore to me. Blood's blood. There's blood, then there's gore. Like, blood is gore when it's like excessive. If someone got their throat slit and then blood was just like shooting out so much that they start flying, like like Tokyo Gore Police, like this isn't gore. It's just stab, 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 and then they're like, oh, I'm okay though. I'll be in the next sequel. It's fucking ridiculous. Everyone gets stabbed and then they're like, oh, I'm okay. Can you tell how irritated I am by this movie? The more I think about it, I might lower my rating by the end. And that's what happened with Scream 5. The more I thought about that movie, I'm like, you know what, fuck that movie. And I lowered it. But I did enjoy this one more than 5 because the second act is in the third act I enjoyed for the most part. The first act, the pacing. Let's talk about the pacing of the movie. I don't think it's as fast paced as people are saying. I do think it kind of drags in the first half, setting up the characters and just mainly with Sam. I wasn't a fan of her character in Scream 5, mainly just because of the performance, really. I don't think this woman is that great of an actress. I don't know her name, sorry. The woman playing Sam, I didn't think she was that great in 5. She's okay in this, but I'm still not on board with her character. I don't like her ghost dad visions, her Bill Cosby ghost dad visions. She once again has ghost dad Billy visions, the CG de-aging stuff in this one. They set it up in part 5, so it makes sense. They have to stick with it. I don't like it, but I expected them to continue with it. Otherwise, they would have to explain why they're not doing it still. If it wasn't in here, you'd be wondering, like, okay, what happened to those visions? Did she get cured of that? But I don't know. I wasn't 100% on board with her character. Like, it's just a little slow in the beginning because you just get the typical, like, PTSD, going to the therapist, talking about what happened in the last movie, to kind of give the audience a recap, like, all right, this is what happened. This is why I'm here in this office talking to you. This is the trauma I went through, blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, typical stuff. And I just don't think she's that strong of an actress. She gets very much outshined by everyone else, like especially Jenna Ortega and the actor who plays Chad. But yeah. Gail has a husband. I thought that was interesting. We didn't see or hear about her having a husband in the last movie, and now she has a husband or a boyfriend, and he's just useless as a character. I think he has one line in the movie. He's just cannon fodder. Um, but yeah, Ghostface in this movie is at least very vicious. I'll give it that. And he's less clumsy. He's not stumbling, like falling over couches, and like stabbing like way far away from the character, missing by a mile like they always do in the movies. They're like aiming for their head, but they like hit the door like 12 inches away. It's like, how the fuck did you miss? Like, we don't get that in this one. You know, this is a much more badass Ghostface than we've seen in a long time. Like the most vicious since part four. But yeah, let's talk about Kirby. So they bring back Kirby. The way they bring her back feels kind of forced. How she's brought into this story and the, you know, the role that she's playing. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I buy that, but whatever. And I'm not happy with her coming back. Not that I don't like her character. I love her character in Scream 4, but to me, she died. She was dead. All right. In the hospital, Jill is like, you know, all these people died and blah, blah, blah. And Dewey would have been like, oh, no, no, she's fine. You know, Kirby's in the other room with Gail. She's fine. No one said anything. She was dead. So to me, Kirby is dead. But they bring her back to be, I guess, the new Sydney or something, or just, you know, just another red herring. Like, did she snap from the trauma of being stabbed? Which I never bought for a second. I never suspected her for a second. Because why would they bring her back and then just make her a killer? But you know what? If they did do that, that would have been risky. But yeah, so yeah, they bring her back. I wasn't too thrilled about that. And this is just another movie in the franchise that kind of dropped the ball in the climax again. That's the thing about this franchise that keeps it from being one of my favorites. It's nowhere near my favorite franchise. The first one and the fourth one are the ones that I really enjoy. And the rest of them are just very meh to bad. And it's because of what happens in the third act. It just gets ridiculous. It turns into a Scooby-Doo episode, and they're taking off their masks. They won't shut up about why, and then they just won't fucking shoot the person. Like, after, like, the speech is over. Why aren't they pulling the trigger? Why aren't they just stabbing the person in front of them and then stage the bodies and all that crap? In every movie, they're like, all right, let's start staging the bodies. It's like, but these people are still alive. Just kill them. It just feels forced. It just feels lazy to me. It doesn't feel realistic at all. I get it, it's a movie, but that's dumb. Like, this is a franchise that's set within our world. Like, these are supposed to be characters that live in our universe because they're referencing the movies that we see, and so they should be reacting and making the same kind of decisions that we would make, you know, and doing. And if they're the killers, they, you know, a smart killer would just fucking pull the trigger and kill the person and then start staging bodies. But in this franchise, all the time, they never do that. And it just angers me every fucking time. But there's one movie that doesn't do that, and that's Scream 4. Jill, she thinks that everyone else is dead, and then she starts hurting herself. Smart. Which is why that one's the best. It's underrated. I don't get the hate for Scream 4. It seems to be one of the most divisive movies in the franchise. Everyone hates 3. Everyone loves 2. But then it's like divisive with 4. Like, how's that possible? Like, 4 is clearly the standout. It's the smartest. It has the best Ghostface, you know, motive at the end. And I'm kind of blowing my ranking later on, but whatever. I don't know. It's just another movie in this franchise that, in the end, kind of disappointed me in the third act, in the climax. It's usually right after the mask gets taken off that the movies always fall apart because the writing just starts to feel lazier. The characters start, and, you know, the killers start acting really stupid, and it just gets ridiculous every time. And this is another one. I'm like, fuck. I would have preferred no reveal. Imagine that. That would have made me more excited for Scream 7 if this one ended on like a downer note and a couple of characters that you love die, and it's like, holy shit, Ghostface got away with it, and we still don't know who he is, and now we have to wait for the next movie to find out who this Ghostface is, or, how many there is, like, it's just another Scream movie with the same stuff. So I was disappointed in the third act, but I enjoyed the ride. This one definitely has more suspense. It's more tension. There's a few standout sequences for sure. Mainly all that stuff in the trailer, the opening, the store scene, the train scene, good stuff. But in the end, it disappointed me again. But I enjoyed the ride to that climax. It's just unfortunate that that climax just was so disappointing once again. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Scream 6. What would I rate it? I almost want to lower my rating based on everything I just said, but my initial rating was a 3.5 out of 5, meaning I like it, but I don't really like it. I don't think it's great. It's not in great territory. It's good. It's a good movie, but it could have been so much better if they just would have taken more risks, kill more characters, give us some of that gore that everyone else was talking about. I didn't see the gore here, just aftermath gore in one part, but I wanted there to be gore, so I was disappointed, definitely, in that. I was lied to. There's no gore. Don't expect it. So yeah, Scream 6, there you go. Quick ranking. Let's go through this quickly because I'm already 26 minutes in. So, Scream ranking. What is my least favorite? Well, not much has changed from the ranking I did before. Nothing, actually, has changed. So, Scream 2, still my least favorite. Scream 2, I think, is overrated. Don't like it. And I liked it even less this time around. I just think that whole opening is fucking ridiculous. And it's the longest one. Actually, now this one's the longest, but 2 is the one that feels the longest. And so, yeah, Scream 2, that's my least favorite. Number 5 will be Scream 5. That's the second one that disappointed me the most in this franchise. 2 and 5, I just think are easily the worst ones. Those are the only ones that I would rate below average. And after that, we got Scream 3. Now, this one actually went up in enjoyment in my rating. I went from like a 3 to a 3.5 this time around. I enjoyed it. I actually like what they did with the reveal and how they tie it to part 1, and that's one killer. I like that. I like that it was one killer, and it was probably the least predictable one of them all. That's another thing I didn't talk about this one. It was predictable in a way. I basically called it early on. So not as predictable as Scream 5, but still, just these last couple movies are just, maybe it's because I watched too many murder mysteries and 70s giallos that I'm good at detecting like who the killer is going to be, but I detected it pretty quickly in this one. So yeah, where was I? Scream 3, that's my number 4. So number 3 will be Scream 6, which I have tied in rating with Scream 3. Now, if I rewatch Scream 6 and I don't like it as much, it's probably going to go down. I can only see this movie going down in rating. I don't think it's ever going to go up past 3.5. I think I'm being a little generous with that 3.5. Maybe it should be a 3, which means I kind of like it. It's okay. But yeah, it's like right at that 3 to 3.5 part. So, but yeah, Scream 6, number 3. Number 2, the original, sticking true to my original ranking. The original is my number 2. If you want to hear all my reasons why, go check out my last ranking video. And number 1 is Scream 4. Best killers, best motive, best a lot of things. So, yeah, Scream 4, number 1. So, let's quickly rank the openings without going into detail about the openings. So, my least favorite opening is definitely Scream 2. I just, like I said, I think it's fucking ridiculous. I don't like it at all. for many reasons. It has the most unlikable character in the whole franchise, too, getting killed. And my second least favorite is Scream 5. Now, all these openings from this point on, I enjoy them. They're not terrible. Scream 2 is the only opening that I think is just downright terrible. Scream 5 is the second from the bottom, mainly because it's derivative. It's Scream 1. It's trying to recreate Scream 1, but just nowhere near as effective, and no one dies in that opening. So Scream 3 is the next opening. I like that they kill Cotton Weary, and I like how the voice changer thing is used, tricking the girlfriend, and creates a lack of trust between them, and she's like attacking Cotton. Like I like how that all played out. It was like an action movie, like driving through LA and Hollywood, trying to race home. Like it was actually a fun, good opening. Like I said, I just think 3 is underrated, and 4 especially. Next opening will be Scream 6. Scream 6, I really enjoyed this opening. I won't go into detail right now. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible. I like the curveball they threw us here. It's a little different. It's a little different than what we've gotten before, definitely. So, next opening will be Scream 4, the movie within the movie within the movie. I like the commentary here, what they're saying. The franchise is just going on for so long that each movie just gets more ridiculous and ridiculous, that they start to do like time travel, and then there's movie within movies. And then you get to the actual movie where the 2 girls get killed and thrown through the window. It's much more vicious, and they kind of recreate the garage door scene from part 1. So I like that callback. So yeah, Scream 4, I really enjoy that opening. It makes me laugh. When she stabs the girl, like, did you see that coming? But the original Scream is the best opening. It will forever be the best opening. It's brutal. It's the longest opening, I believe, in the franchise, but it's very intense, and it's just classic. I love the conversation on the phone, the whole quiz game, and probably some of the most gore in the franchise is right there in the first movie. I mean, the rest of the movie's goreless, but you actually see intestines spilling out of Steve and then spilling out of Drew Barrymore when she's hanging from the tree. Like, very vicious. So yeah, Scream 1, definitely the best opening. Scream Killers. Let's go through this quickly. So, my least favorite will be Mrs. Loomis. She's not a believable ghost face, and she only killed one person as far as I'm concerned. She only killed Randy. One person, so that's weak sauce. And so yeah, Mrs. Loomis, last. Next up is Amber/Richie. And then after that will be the killer or killers in this movie. Won't say the name. And then Mickey from part 2. He's a little clumsy. I feel like he falls the most. He's always like tripping over the tables and shit, but he's like a fucking stunt man, hopping over the hood of that car, kicking those cops' asses, doing some stunt driving. So that's kind of what brought him up. And he's doing most of the legwork in that movie anyways, not Mrs. Loomis. And next up will be Billy and Stu. They're kind of like Mickey in a way. They're very clumsy and very dumb in the third act with everything they do there. Let's stab each other, and then we'll start killing Sydney. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then next up will be Roman. I like him because he's by himself. He's solo. I think that's very impressive that he was able to pull off so much by himself. And I liked his whole gimmick about, imitating the Stab 3 script, killing them in the same order as their characters that they're playing within Stab 3. I thought that was clever and funny. But my favorite Ghostface killers are Jill and Charlie, because they're the most mean-spirited and the most clever, and I just think they're the best. I think that they're the smartest. They actually, Jill gets her own fucking mom killed. I mean, how mean is that? And then, like I said earlier, she actually stabs Sydney thinking she's dead, and then starts trying to stage the bodies and all that crap. That's what they should have been doing in the first place in Scream 1. Then they would have been able to get away with what they did, But they keep stumbling in every movie, except for Jill. I mean, yeah, Jill and Charlie, definitely the best. Man, that movie would be even better. Scream 4, if that's where the movie ended. Imagine that. If that's how it ended, with her winning and Sydney being dead and she's the hero. Like, that whole hospital scene didn't need to be there. That's like very much an alternate ending, and man, it's such a bummer. Like I said, all these movies, that's where Scream 4 falls apart. When it gets to the hospital, it's like, shit, it's becoming a Scream movie again. They all have to live, you know? Fuck. So, yeah, there you go. That's my ranking of the Ghostface killers. Now let's go through the Scream quiz. Let's see how well I know Scream. So, 20 questions. Let's go through this as quickly as possible. What is the name of the man falsely accused of killing Sidney Prescott's mother in Scream? Cotton Weary. All right, before its name was changed to Scream, what was the screenplay originally called? Scary Movie, I believe. Question 3. What does Casey Becker say her favorite scary movie is at the beginning of Scream? Halloween. Who does Casey Becker mistakenly say is the killer in Friday the 13th? Jason! It was Jason! Which Happy Days star appears as Principal Henry in the first Scream movie? His name's Winkler or something, right? Henry Winkler. I think that's his last name. Yeah, he's not even credited in that movie. That's interesting. Aside from Sidney Prescott and Gale Weathers, who is the only other character, not including Ghostface, to have appeared in every Scream film? Well, this is no longer true, right? Because of Scream 6. So aside from Sidney and Gale, who's the other character to have appeared in everyone? That would be Dewey. And in which of the Scream films does Carrie Fisher appear in as the character Bianca? Scream 3. Which type of establishment does Randy work at in Scream? A video store. Which of the following characters was never revealed to be the killer in one of the Scream movies? Loomis, Debbie Salt, Randy Meeks, or Mickey Altieri? Wait, the question was, which of these characters was never revealed to be the killer? Oh, Randy. I was thinking Richie for a second. That's why I was confused. I'm like, they're all killers. That was Richie. So Randy. Randy is not a killer. Robert Englund was initially cast as the voice of Ghostface in the first Scream movie. True or false? I'm going to guess false. I feel like I would have heard that if that was true. Which cult supernatural horror film did Neve Campbell star in the same year as Scream? That would be, I don't think it's really a horror movie, but The Craft with Skeet Ulrich, right? So, question 12. In Scream 2, which actress plays Sidney Prescott in the film version of the events from the first movie called Stab? Tori Spelling. And then they recast her in Scream 3, which I didn't ever think about until now when I was rewatching. I was like, wait, they're recasting Sidney in the Stab movies. No one ever really brings that up. Not even the characters within the movie. You think they would make a joke about it, like whatever happened to Tori Spelling? Like they never even talk about it. So what, according to Randy, are the 3 main rules for surviving a horror movie? You can never do drugs, have sex, don't say I'll be right back, stuff like that, right? Isn't that all 3 of them? You can never do drugs, sex, and don't say I'll be back, right? Those were the 3. In the early version of the Scream 2 script, which character died at the end? Was it Dewey, Randy, or Gale? I'm going to guess Dewey, because he was supposed to die in like every freaking movie, and they kept bringing him back. Which character says the following line in Scream? We all go a little mad sometimes. Billy Loomis. Which Scream movie am I describing? There's a TV show host, a movie set, a helpline, a birthday party, and a bulletproof vest. That's Scream 3. Which band performed the song Red Right Hand, which is a song in every fucking movie, and it's a song I don't like. I don't like it for some reason. I hate it. Which is frequently used in the Scream movies. Ain't that the truth? And it's in Scream 6, by the way. You're going to hear it again. Which band? I don't fucking know. Whoever they are, I don't like them. All right, so next question. Which of the Scream movies features the poster tagline, "The most terrifying scream is always the last"? Probably the 3rd one, because that was supposed to be the last one. Either that one or the 4th one. What is the title of Sidney Prescott's autobiography that she is promoting in Scream 4? Out of Darkness. I would never have known that if I didn't just rewatch it the other night. Which actor has been the voice of Ghostface in all the Scream movies? Last question. Roger Jackson. So there you go. I think I aced that. much better than the Alien quiz. So there you go. That is the end of the Scream episode. Oh shit! Fuck! Spoilers. Do I even want to talk spoilers at this point? All right. So spoilers for Scream 6. I don't have many spoilers to talk about other than who the killer is, I guess. So, spoilers, you have been warned. Bye bye, those who haven't seen the movie yet. So, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. All right, so the killers in this movie, 3 of them. Now, I did a video with predictions, and it's funny how a lot of them came true, and a lot of them that I didn't want to become true. So, I predicted one thing, that this movie was not really going to be in New York City, or, they would make it look like it, but they weren't really going to shoot there. And of course, that came true. There's hardly any scenes in New York City where it's like, okay, that's clearly New York. Like I said, there's nothing like in popular tourist locations. Like, it's very much like in houses, their apartments, and at this, ghost face museum. So I predicted that was true, and I said I bet there's going to be at least one reference to Jason Takes Manhattan, and there is. In the very opening, there's a guy watching Jason Takes Manhattan. But for some reason, the wrong scene is on the TV. Like, he's watching the bathroom kill on the ship. Why wouldn't they show the part of the movie where Jason's in fucking Manhattan? Times Square. That should have been on the movie screen, I said, Samara Weaving from Ready or Not, she's going to be in the movie. And I was like, I'm excited for that. I hope she's the killer, just because I want her to be in the movie for as long as possible. Because that's how much I love the actress. I want her to be in it beginning to end. But I was like, I have a feeling, I'm not sure if I said in the video, but I definitely thought this. I'm like, I feel like they're probably going to kill her in the opening, though, which will bum me out. Or she'll be like the first one to die after the opening. And they kill her in the opening. Like, when the movie opened and it showed Samara Weaving, I was like, fuck! Like, sinking down in my chair in disappointment. Like, no! Because the formula is like, whoever you see in the opening, they're dead. Unless you're Jenna Ortega. So, yeah, that disappointed me. It's like, fuck, she's gonna die first. Damn it, I knew it. And then the curveball they throw us here in the opening is that we get Ghostface killers who get killed by other Ghostface killers. And that very much reminded me of a giallo from the 70s called Bay of Blood, where it opens with a kill, and then they reveal the killer, and you're like, oh shit, we know who the killer is. And then boom, they get dispatched. It's like, oh, there's more killers. So that was interesting. And, they're playing this hot or cold game on the phone. You're getting warmer, and it's like a Friday the 13th Part 2 nod with the head in the fridge and shit. And you know where that's going. You're like, all right, he's luring him to his dead roommate. So they pretty much tell you what the motivation for why the killer is doing what they're doing in this early on. Like, as soon as she gets a phone call from Richie, you're like, okay, there's the motive. Someone's pissed off about what happened to Richie. And, the main character, Sam, she's dealing with a lot of hate. Everyone hates her because they think that she is actually the killer in Scream 5, that she staged the bodies and framed Richie and framed Amber. And so I just early on predicted, like, the motive, like, that was clear as day. I don't think that was supposed to be a surprise. But what was supposed to be a surprise that I predicted also was 2 of the 3 killers. Not only did I predict it while watching the movie, I actually predicted it before I went to the movie. I just went on Letterboxd. I looked up the cast of characters just to see who was in the movie. And I just jokingly tweeted on Tuesday or Wednesday. I said, looking at these characters, it would be funny. I predict that the killers will be the father and daughter characters that I see listed here. The Quinns. The Baileys. Quinn's the last name too, so that's why I said that. Quinn Bailey and Detective Bailey. I was like, they're probably the killers. How funny would that be? Like a father-daughter killing duo. That's what I tweeted. And then, lo and behold, I was right. Fuck. But it was just obvious that the detective was involved and that she faked her death. And, because this movie is mirroring Part 2 in a lot of ways. So And they say that in the movie, and they're talking. They're like, "This is like Scream 2 or Stab 2." We're at college, so it's like, okay, well, in Scream 2, the killer's motive, it was an older killer, and they had a revenge plot, because their son was killed. So I'm like, well, there's your motive, and it has to be Quinn, the roommate, the girl, because she says a line, like one of the first things that comes out of her mouth when talking to Sam is, I had this brother and he was killed or he died, and then they just kind of treat it like a throwaway line, like, oh, whatever. I knew instantly. It's like, okay, she said that for a reason. There's more to that. That's an important line. I'll remember that. Like, there's your motive. Like, I bet her brother was somebody in Scream 5 or one of the other Scream movies, but going by the timeline and how old this character is or how old she's supposed to be, it would make more sense if her brother was someone in Scream 5, probably Richie. So that just became obvious. And then when she like dies off camera and they don't even check a pulse, they just quickly get out of the room. They don't really examine her body long enough to realize that it's all staged and fake. I was like, and we never see her body get taken out of there later on when the coroners arrive. We don't see 3 bodies get taken away from there. So I was just like, she faked her death. I even leaned over and told my dad, I saw this with my dad. I was like, I don't think she died. I bet she faked her death. So kind of ruined it for him. I don't think he was suspecting the same thing as me. But I was just like, there's something fishy. Like the fact that she is dying off camera like that. I don't know. I didn't buy it. So yeah, when she was revealed at the end, I was like, yep, called it. And but the third killer did not call that one. The brother, who had a different name. So they threw me off with that. I did not suspect the other guy being a brother, but the detective and his daughter, I thought that was clear as day. And they're trying to make you suspect Kirby, but it's like they're not going to make Kirby the killer. They're not going to bring her back from the dead and then make her a villain. That's just not what they would do. Gail fucking lives, of course. Her useless husband gets killed somehow. Like, who's killing the husband in that scene? Is it Quinn or the scrawny brother? Like, that dude seemed like he was big. I'm surprised that they got the upper hand in that scene. But yeah, Gail gets her first phone call from Ghostface in this franchise, finally. But yeah, I don't know what else to spoil. I mean, yeah, they all fucking live. All the core 4, they live, no matter how many times they get stabbed. It's ridiculous. Like, especially Chad, just fucking die. Who is this guy? He's like the 50 Cent of getting stabbed. 50 Cent, he's known for getting shot a bunch and surviving, right? So, but this guy, he got stabbed like 20 fucking times in both movies combined, and he's still okay. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's ridiculous. But yeah, like they get stabbed in the gut, they get stabbed in the back, and then they're just walking around like it's okay, and then the ambulance just puts a little bandage on them. It's like, you're okay. It's like, no, they need to go to the hospital. Why aren't they taking them? The ambulance just leaves, and Jenna Ortega is just like in a sling, like, I'm okay. It's like, no, you're not. You should be at the hospital. There's probably some major damage to your organs. You got stabbed right in the lower back near your spine, and then you got stabbed right in the gut, and they even like twist the knife and go up a little, and then even the gay character, what's her name, Mindy, she gets stabbed, and then like she's being gutted like a fish, like he's going up a little bit with the knife, and she's okay. It's like, what? Other characters within the same movie and same franchise get less done to them and they die instantly. It's stupid. So yeah, there's not much else to spoil. There's 3 killers, predicted 2 of them, and the opening was interesting. The killers getting killed by other killers, and all the characters survive that are returning from the last movie. They're fucking safe. They're never gonna die. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know. Just more disappointing the more I think about this movie. It's just, I don't get it. Like, why do they have to keep surviving? Like, that scene when Chad is dying, like, that could have been a really impactful scene and had a lot of emotional weight to it because you're starting to like the character and you're like, oh shit, he's getting killed. He's sacrificing himself for Terra, and then they just take it all away. They're like, nope, it might as well have never have happened. Like, it's just like it never happened. They just take it away. It's bullshit. So yeah, that's the end of my rants. So I don't know what the next video will be about, but you'll find out when that video drops. I guess. I don't know how to tease the next video because I haven't decided what I'm gonna do yet. Maybe I'll go see 65 million years ago, whatever it's called. But yeah, this is the longest episode in a long time because I crammed so much into it. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Did I piss people off with my ranting? I'm sure I did. There's a lot of diehards out there that love this franchise and will hate to hear me poke holes in it and point out the absurdity of how fucking superhero these characters are. Like, they're so unstoppable. It's ridiculous. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Let me know.